What's up guys, it's Johnnie O with Tito Tech TV, and today I want to talk about 3D printing. So about a year ago or so now, I jumped on a 3D printer. I bought the Wanhao Duplicator i3 for about $400 US. So I got interested in the 3D printing from Barnacules Nerdgasm. I had actually started watching some of his videos just for the tech content that he does, and then saw a couple of 3D printing videos, and that kind of piqued my interest in the whole subject. So from there I started watching 3D Printing Nerd as well as Maker's Muse to kind of learn more about the subject, and finally decided to jump on it. So for Christmas this year, my wife and I got two of her sisters in the gift raffle that her family does for the kids, and so I decided to go and put the 3D printer to work on this. So I used Blender to model a couple of desk plaques that had their name on them. That way we could print those out and paint them to match the color of their dorm rooms. So go ahead and hit that like button if you want to see a tutorial of how I did this in Blender. And I'm going to go ahead and roll the actually I probably would have already started it by now, but you'll see in the background of the video here the print of Shelby's plaque running at 4,000% and 8,000% speed for the base. I may end up tweaking the speeds up a little bit if it still looks like it's going to be too long. So I sliced the model with a 1.2mm shell and 1mm top and bottom layers, as well as a 30% infill. I used the version of Cura that Wanhao includes on the SD card with the printer to do all this. Thanks to the durability of the ABS filament that I used, the name plaques themselves, so the names kind of hover in midair, and they can actually sustain quite a bit of flex without having any kind of damage done to them. So the filament I use is Inland brand ABS at 230 degrees C on the extruder and 100 degrees C on the bed for better adhesion. So I found that removing the cooling fan for the extrusion on the printer actually helped to do better quality ABS prints, helped to even out the cooling, I guess, of the ABS as the layers are all laid down to help reduce warping. Another thing I did to help this was actually take the box for the printer that it shipped to me in and turned it upside down and stuck it on top of the printer to help trap some of the heat inside from the heated build platform and the hot end. So I had to cut a little notch in the top of the box, or technically the bottom of the box, so that the filament can stick out the top, because otherwise it's too tall. And so I don't have any actual temperature readings. I don't have infrared heat scope or anything like that. So all I did was just use the actual heat sensors that are built into the build platform and the extruder, and just kind of guesstimated from there. So once the printing's done and everything's kind of cooled down back to the ambient temperature of the box, I can see that it usually hits around 45 to 48 degrees Celsius, which is a good bit over room temperature, which definitely helps to keep the layers of the print from warping and curling, which helps layer adhesion and helps to improve the overall strength of the print. So I decided to print these in pieces. So what I did was I printed the name, and for example the one you're going to see in the video here is the one I've printed for Shelby, and so I did the S separate of the rest of her name. So those are two pieces, and then the base was a third piece. So the way I actually did that was I took and in Blender just took a cube and basically stuck it in the bottom of the S and the bottom of the Y, and then did a Boolean subtraction on the base of the model to make a hole for those pegs to sit in. And then once all the parts were printed, just painted them and glued them all together. So the base did have to be printed twice, because the first time the holes in the base were too small. I do in the Blender actually and upscale the holes in the base by about 20% over what they were before. And all the pieces took in total about 8 to 9 hours to print. So I'll go and let the rest of the time lapse roll here, but I definitely want to give a big shout out to Maker's Muse and the 3D Printing Nerd, because they were the biggest help to me and learning kind of what I needed to know to get started with 3D printing, and helping me make a decision on a 3D printer to start with. And overall, I'm very happy with the Wanhao Duplicator i3. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys want to see a dedicated video to the Duplicator i3, kind of a review of it. It's the only printer I've ever used, only 3D printer I've ever used, so I'll only be able to tell you my personal experience with the printer. But like I said, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know if that's something you guys are interested in, and hit that like button on the video if you want to see a tutorial on how to or how I modeled the name plaques in Blender. Make sure you get subscribed to the channel so you can keep up to date on all my latest videos. And until next time, it's Johnnie O signing out.